John, you've got a 4-point philosophy.
Yes, it was with some trepidation that Rob agreed to let me discuss philosophy of health as outlined by Martin Heidegger. Probably, I think, the greatest philosopher of the last century, right? But he wrote this rather turgid piece called Building, Dwelling, Thinking. And he talks about the whole idea that, I mean, we've all seen buildings where they're a monolithic slab of concrete and go, wouldn't want to live in that. And then we
Well, how do you hang your pictures up for a start?
Well, exactly. Which is essential, you see. You're getting to the point of it, because he says there are 4 elements to what he calls dwelling. And these should be in our dwellings, right? And they should be in the way in which we dwell, because dwell is both, a dwelling can be both a verb and the place in which we live, a noun, right? But he said 4 elements. And he has this little phrase: we live on the earth, beneath the skies, in the presence of mortals and before the divinities. Now, if you just take those 4 things together, right, and you see and cut them down and analyse them, we live on the earth, which means there are basic elements that we need to survive. We need 4 walls, a roof, water, food, shelter, right?
Yep.
The essential cave, right? But the cave's not the cave, right, if these other elements aren't there. So on the earth, beneath the skies. Now, far too many of us, lights determine our day, right?
Yeah. And the day can be very long because
it can be very long because lights can extend it. And then all those shift workers who just simply work at the wrong time of a day. And also, if you think of about, you know, if we're living under the skies, right, it's not just the time, it's also the seasons. So we are biologically designed to eat the foods that we evolved with, and different foods are there for different seasons, but our needs are different in those seasons as well.
So we shouldn't be importing salad stuff in the middle of winter.
No, we should be eating our brassicas. You know, we should be eating our winter vegetables. And they tend to be more sort of fat-developing, body-developing vegetables, you know, root vegetables and potatoes.
That's because it's cold.
And we need heat. Yeah, so we live on the earth, right, beneath the skies, so yep. Beneath the seasons, right, in the presence of mortals. Our cave is not a cave without a cave partner, right? We need to have people around us. We need to have the tribe.
Yeah, because we are tribal.
We are fundamentally tribal. So good health, good existential health, mental health, right, comes from dealing with all those elements. And before the divinities, now Heidegger was not a religious man, right, but he recognized spirituality within us. We are all fundamentally a spiritual creature. We are possibly the only fundamentally spiritual creature. And you can never be at peace with all the others if you are not at peace with your own inner self, your conscience, your belief system, right? So there it is, it's simple. On the earth, beneath the skies, in the presence of mortals and before the divinities. You hook all 4 of those and you have what he called dwelling. You are dwelling on the earth the way you should be. And he said it's only then you should engage in thinking.
I'm interested about the self-belief thing because, you know, there's, as you know, especially you, and what people you're treating, is this depression, all that sort of thing. And the number of times that people have said to me, look in the mirror and see if you love yourself. And of course we don't love ourselves because we're tall poppies get cut off.
Hey, and there's another thing in that. Don't just look in the mirror, look into your eyes in the mirror, because they're the window to the soul, you know. And there's this fantastic poem called The Guy in the Glass. So all you people out there watching this on the web, right, open another window and flick up The Guy in the Glass, right? And it's sort of, the last line of it goes something like, if you pass through life and get pats on the back and smiles as you pass, right, go and ask the guy in the glass. And if you cheated him, right, it'll all amount to naught.
Because we as a race, especially the farming people, are not pro-loving themselves.
No, and they tend to be overly critical of themselves, and when things go wrong, it's my fault, and sometimes things are just wrong, you know. Sometimes, but also, you know, perhaps step one back and go, okay, where's the lesson in this? A chiropractic philosopher, John DeMartini, who I sort of don't really like a lot of his stuff, but he wrote one piece I did like, and that was on gratitude. He said, no matter how bad something is, right, there is something to be taken from it. Be grateful for the lesson, if you can't be grateful for anything else. Right now, a lot of dairy farmers go, oh yeah, bloody great that is. Yeah. Where's the lesson here?
Do you want to borrow my gumboots and walk in them for a couple of miles?
Yeah. We go, well, no, DeMartini should. I thought it was a bit fluffy at the time, but no, but I do think, you know, there's always something to be learned. There's always something there.
Why is it, John, that when things are bad and you're starting to take hidings, that you get so many of them, and when things are going well, you don't seem to get any hidings?
Well, remember, good and bad are in the end fundamentally perceptions. So when things are bad, right, when we are at greater risk, when the cave's under threat, the tribe's under threat, our very being is under threat, we become far more threat averse and therefore far more threat focused. So we look out for things more, and so we tend to also run the risk of catastrophizing. That is, we are constantly thinking about what can go wrong.
And they usually do. And there's something comes down the tubes and poof.
Well, they don't. Yeah, maybe thoughts are formative in the process of thinking something. You actually make it happen, but I think too, it's, you know, remember the glass is always full, right?
Yep.
Even if it's only got half water, there's air in the rest, so it's always full. It's a question of perspective.
John, thank you very much indeed.